benefactor was J.L. Carr. Elementary, my dear Watson. Readers of A Month in the Country will discover the Ellerbeck family under a slightly different guise. In the book's pages, Mrs. Ellerbeck presides over a splendid repertory of North Riding dishes and sees to it that the new arrival at Ogsgodby, the war-damaged Tom Birkin, never goes hungry. Her big, 14-year-old daughter, Cathy, a very organising girl with blue eyes and freckles, is soon coming to the village church where Tom Birkin is uncovering a large medieval wall painting and plays gramophone records to him. Sometimes she brings her wide-eyed younger brother, Edgar. Head of the family is the impeccable station master and formidably moustached lay preacher at the chapel, George Ellerbeck. "My father was a butcher, Mr. Birkin," he modestly reveals over Sunday lunch. A Month in the Country was published 7 or 8 years after I received my unexpected prize, and the book's appearance was the occasion of my only meeting with J.L. Carr. It was a fleeting encounter in unusually grand surroundings. His novel had been shortlisted for the Booker Prize, and we came across each other, both in our dinner jackets and clasping a glass of champagne, before the dinner started. I wish we could have met in easier circumstances. His humorous face was contorted in mild agony, for he was, I judged, an intensely private man. We exchanged a few polite words, stood around awkwardly, and agreed that the Ellerbeck Prize, though not so interesting to bank managers, was a more singular honour than the Booker Prize. Then we were herded to our separate tables. I never saw him again, but I was amused to read in his last novel, a self-published satire on the book business called Harpole and Foxbarrow General Publishers, that one of his characters, Mrs. Fazakerly, bookseller of Stotfield Magna, having developed the habit of stroking her books in winter, recommends as best for this kind of attention one of Mr. Holroyd's good solid biographies. J.L. Carr's career was relentlessly unconventional. Though he was known as Jim and appears as James in one of his novels, he was actually Joseph Lloyd Carr, born in the North Riding of Yorkshire in 1912. His father was a railwayman and Methodist preacher like George Ellerbeck. Indeed, the Carr family appears to have had much in common with the Ellerbecks. But J.L. Carr released few details of his life to the public. On the first American edition of A Month in the Country, his biographical note simply reads, "J.L. Carr lives in England." Having twice failed his 11+ examination, which would have qualified him for free grammar school entry, he was sent as a paying pupil to Castleford Secondary School, which the sculptor Henry Moore had attended, then went to the Dudley Teacher Training College, after which he taught in several schools in Birmingham. For one improbable year, he travelled to the United States and, on an exchange system, taught children on the Great Plains of South Dakota, an episode that eventually led to his novel The Battle of Pollock's Crossing, 1985, an eccentric offshot of David Lodge's Changing Places. During the Second World War, he joined the Royal Air Force and served in Sierra Leone, using some of his experiences in his novel A Season in Sinji, 1967, where he opposes the madness of warfare with the intricate sanity of cricket, a game that, in the opinion of Bernard Shaw, had given the otherwise atheistic English nation a sense of eternity. After the war, Carr married the daughter of an Essex farmer. They had a son, and in 1951 moved to Kettering in Northamptonshire, where he became a legendary headmaster. His initiatives, which enrich his novel The Harpole Report, were famously unorthodox. He would ask the children to put their names and addresses in bottles, then collectively launch them into the fast-flowing river, or organise an arithmetic race in which contestants, running along the course, were obliged to stop at various blackboards, set out across the field, and solve equations. It was not beyond him to march his pupils along the tree-lined streets of Kettering, reciting A. Houseman's "Loveliest of Trees, the Cherry Now," or hold school assembly near the railway line, or suddenly announce the school play in which everyone participated 2 days before its performance. He would take the children to local churches to hunt for historical clues, and to a quarry so that they might search for fossils. His worst punishment was to sit a pupil near a blackboard with his crime chalked on it and beneath the school puppet, Bondi Bunda. Unsurprisingly, he was the bane of the local educational authority, though he was loved by the children and came to be respected by their parents. It was a shock for all of them when in 1967, at the age of 55, he suddenly retired to write novels. He had already published one novel.
to keep listening to this audiobook. I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.